Food is going to get more expensive. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, I'm Florian Heise, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I've got my afternoon stein of coffee, and I thought we would have a look at this article about cattle prices forecast to jump when the drought breaks, and then we'll follow that up by one discussing, well, the cost of dairy going up as well. So this is a sign of our foodstuffs and important part of our cost of living are going to get more expensive. Now, Rachel and I, we recently, a couple of months ago, or 3 months ago now, we purchased a full beast and we deep froze it. Got it all butchered, nicely froze it, so I'm living off my healthy, good steaks. We did that. We bought a whole beast in one time because it costs more if you buy one up front. Yet, it's cheaper per kilogram because we expected the cost of beef to increase just with the bushfire, the droughts, and all the issues that were appearing. So let's have a look through this. So the cattle prices forecast to jump when drought breaks as farmers forced to sell breeding stock. The relentless drought is seeing more breeding female cattle sent to slaughter, with industry leaders warning of significant price increases when the long dry does break. And with the Bureau of Meteorology not forecasting any improvement until March, those relying on cattle for cash flow are bracing for tough years ahead. As of this week, we've sold 124 breeders out of 150, and their calves, 104, were sold, said Mick Cosgrove, cattle producer from Bell, 3 hours northwest of Brisbane. The cost of keeping cattle during the drought has beaten most, and the nearby Derby sales yard recently had their biggest yarding in decades. There you go. There would be a people's livelihood being sold up at the moment to make way for the lack of feed and water, auctioneer Peter Bird said. Some pens of calf have been sold off for $10 a head, less than the sale yard fee. Well, bloody hell, guys. It's a forced sale. It's things we unfortunately have to do because of the weather, Mr. Bird said. In 2019, 58% of all cattle slaughtered in Australia were female, up 10% according to Meat and Livestock Australia. Well, when it comes to purchasing heifers to replace them, that's when it'll start to bite. John Dard cattle farmer Leon Jancic said. Most of the Western Downs have been drought declared since 2014, alongside many others, he said. He's been prematurely offloading stock. As breeding herds are sold off, the reality of the years to come is becoming clearer. It takes 9 months to breed a calf. To get a calf on the ground, and for the calf to be a saleable item, you're looking at 18 months, Mr. Bird said. So straight away you've got 18 months to 2 years before you get back to production. Dwell on that, everyone. Just dwell on that. And the national herd is back to 1990 levels. The drought has seen the national herd drop to around 25 million head, a level not seen since the 1990s. The national herd's in contraction, and we're expecting the national herd to drop 5 to 6% this year, on top of another 5 to 6% last year, MLA analyst Scott Tolmie said. So all up, over the last 2 years of this devastating drought, there's been about a 10% drop in the national herd. Now this is a serious thing to be aware of, guys. In 65 years of farming on his property in Spring Glen, Mr. Cosgrove has never seen his place like this. We've had dry years before, but this is the worst I've ever seen, he said. Getting $2 to $3 a kilo for their cows, the recent sale puts money in the Cosgrove's bank and reduces the herd, but they will still be hand feeding daily. Everybody's really doing it tough. It's not only the farmers doing it tough, it's the businesses in the town. They're also doing it very tough, he said. I honestly don't know. If we don't get rain until March or April, it's going to be a real mess. And beef prices are expected to rise. The effects of the drought will be felt down the supply chain. Cattle prices don't always directly lead to retail price increases, but over time these things are pretty strongly related, Mr. Tolmie said. The impact of the dry on the cattle market is being watched closely by local butchers. It obviously makes the procurement of beef, lamb and other meat products harder to source, Toowoomba butcher John Yeo said. With no rain for such a long period of time, we're in sort of uncharted territory. Well, see, this is one thing we've actually our beef comes from Victoria because we want a grass-fed, hormone-free, halal-free, pasture, slow-aged beef. So we need to get a special order in. While the price of beef has not spiked, it has been increasing, and that looks set to continue. And even though we're getting it in Victoria, if all the other prices go up, the price of that product will go up as well. It all evens out. I'd say for the foreseeable future, probably the year after, there'll certainly be increases in the price of beef. Hopefully, it's not going to go where it becomes a luxury service, he said. Well, no, it shouldn't. It's one of the healthiest foods you can eat. Damn. There'll probably be, it's hard to say, maybe a 20% increase in the next 12 months for the price of beef. Could go up even higher the year after. Then again, it all hinges on the drought. So there you go, 20% increase in the price of beef, which for me and my family is a very big part of our diet. But another big part, particularly for the children, and something we buy 60 litres of every month for the kids, is our milk. Our milk, but, well, also cheese. I love my cheese, guys. Consumers likely to see a shortage of flavoured milks and yogurts after the fires. So consumers could see a shortage of flavoured milks, yogurts and custard as a direct result of the droughts and fires, the New South Wales Farmers Association said. That is because processors have contracts to supply fresh white milk to New South Wales supermarkets first at the expense of other branded fresh dairy products. Bushfire in southern New South Wales have added significantly to the industry's long-running woes, with as many as 1,000 dairy heifers estimated to have been killed, according to New South Wales Farmers Dairy Committee member Daniel Cochrane. There is now a lack of milk, with big producers reducing supply along the New South Wales coast from both drought and now the summer fires, he said. New South Wales Farmers Association Dairy Committee Chair Colin Thompson said the impacts of the fires were still being assessed. Mr. Thompson said the fire's impact ranged from total loss of pasture and fences destroyed to a loss of cattle, particularly young heifers. There were a number of dairy farms left without power, which saw a loss of milking, and farmers were having to get generators onto site, he said. That combined with a water shortage leading up to the fires due to the drought, and now we're seeing pumps and piping lost. Some farmers who had to pour milk down the drain due to a lack of power. Mr. Thompson, who farms in Cowra in New South Wales Central West, said losing milk was unavoidable. The number of farms affected at this time is unprecedented, he said. The New South Wales Farmers Association is working with affected farmers to try to secure fodder and water, which is already in short supply due to the drought. Major dairy producers at Tallangatta, Cwee Valley in northwest Victoria were also impacted by farmers. So there's a push for price increases. Robert Miller, who farms in Narrawali near Milton, is counting an ever greater cost from the fires than first thought. He estimated he had lost $100,000 worth of fencing and 2/3 of the grazing. Some of his cows have aborted their calves, not because they were burnt, but because they were heat affected. Together with the New South Wales Farmers Dairy Committee, Dairy Connect, and Queensland Dairy Farmers, Mr. Miller has pleaded for supermarkets to increase the price of home brand milk to $1.50 a litre. In response, Woolworths said, we're still assessing the impact of the fire on South Coast dairy farmers, and said it already had contributed $32 million in a drought levy from 450 dairy farms. Our thoughts are with those who were impacted by the devastating bushfire, including farmers in our extended supply chain, the supermarket giant said. So as a drought-caused fodder shortage, the Australian Fodder Industry Association predicts the country could run short of hay as early as March, which is months earlier than previously thought. I'm increasingly concerned about the levels of fodder supplies we have in the system, CEO John McHugh said. We are still in the harvest in southwest and central Victoria, and South Australian farmers are busy stripping and harvesting. But I'm concerned that with the level of damage we have, we will see a tightening of supply between March and April 2020. I don't want to be alarmist, but supply will get tighter. And the cost, well, the cost will increase, guys. We're seeing here all these flow-throughs, and it'll flow on to consumer purchasing of food. Mr. McHugh said prices were already high, risking the situation getting to the point where it becomes unviable for the future buyer and seller. He said it was unlikely large quantities of hay would come onto the market before November. The Dairy Farmers Committee said charities were competing with non-fire-affected farms to buy fodder for affected farms, and that was also pushing the fodder prices higher. There you go. Mr. Cochrane said the federal drought response had been fairly pathetic, and that farmers on the south coast were locked out of the interest-free loans. For fire-hit dairies, he said $15,000 emergency farm support would run out fast. Bega cheese confident of supply. So around Bega's dairy farms, 800,000 litres of milk was tipped out after the fires, and more was lost from Bodalla and Milton, either because of power cuts or traffic congestions as tourists fled from the path of the fire. The Bega Cheese Company took an 8% hit on the stock exchange on Monday after the fires, but said its overall production and export markets would not be affected by the fires. Bega Cheese operates several plants across the border in Victoria, with milk supplied in New South Wales headquarters, which are now back up to production. So there you go. There you go, guys. So we're seeing how, well, two dietary staples are going to be affected by the fire and the combination of the drought, and which could have implications for years to come due to a decline in the stock capacity, the herd reduction, breeding capacity, and the time frame it takes to get a breeding cow back up or a calf back up ready for market. So guys, what do you think? Where do you think it'll head? Do you think this will have an impact on consumer confidence? I mean, it may get that inflation up. It may keep the Reserve Bank happy because inflation shoots up. And then maybe they won't tank the cash rate to 0.25 and start QE. We'll have to see. But it will have an effect on a lot of people, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're preparing. Have you stocked up on milk or stocked up on beef? Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us produce more, I have a Patreon. We also have the ability for you to become a member of the channel here on YouTube. We have affiliate links for Amazon, eBay, and Independent Reserve. We sell our very own pocket squares at the HeiseSays website. And we have PayPal if you want to make a direct donation. Thanks for everyone who's supporting us. Take care, and I will talk to you all later. Bye for now.